And I said, bruh.
I said brother.
I said, brother.
I said biggest bruh.
That was nasty. Bruh. Alright, so, welcome back to Tots. This episode, we're going to be talking about
Is brought to you by Manscaped.
Oh yeah, if you don't want big old puby weebies getting up in your dicky wiki,
Then buy the lawnmower
buy a shaver.
2000.
A lawnmower 3.0. 3.1. Lawnmower 3.1.
We're actually not sponsored, so I'm just going to clarify
Yeah, we're not.
that in case so we don't get sued.
This is fraudulent.
Yeah.
These people aren't sponsored by Manscaped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone flags our video before we even they even get to the part where we reveal that we aren't sponsored by Manscaped.
I'd be like,
wait,
thanks for your 5-second viewership.
Wait, can you actually? I don't think you can flag a video for having a false sponsorship.
I mean, no, but do something like legally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously the company could be like, haha, you made a fucky wucky. Time to sue your ass.
I'm not sure why the company would, because then it'd kind of be like we're just falsely saying we're sponsored, but we're not, so then they're actually getting free advertisement.
That's true.
So I'm not sure why the company would do it, but I guess maybe the company might, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm
just
saying, in case there is some sort of legal thing that could happen, I just decided to clarify.
Well, yeah, plus we want to make sure they know we're not actually sponsored by them anyways.
Yeah, no. that'd be sick, though.
Yeah, I mean, that would obviously be sick, but we got like 4 subs.
Nah.
We're nowhere near getting sponsored by Manscaped at the moment. But yeah, this episode we are going to be talking about the Devil's Rejects trilogy, which is House of 1,000 Corpses, obviously the Devil's Rejects, and 3 from Hell.
Which is the one that I feel like a lot of people might actually watch this and be like, there's a third? Wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it did come out in 2019, so I feel like there's a lot of people that don't even know about it. We didn't even know about it.
Yeah. The only reason we found out about it is because we watched Devil's Rejects on Amazon, and at the bottom, it recommended 3 from Hell, and we were like, wait, what?
Yeah, and it was like a Rob Zombie film.
Bro, I've literally never heard that there was a third.
Yeah.
Never heard that there was a third.
Yeah.
Oh,
and now we know that there's a third. Oh.
That didn't rhyme, so it didn't work.
Oh, I didn't notice that you rhymed. I thought you just randomly broke out and singing.
I said we never heard there was a third.
Oh.
Listen. So we're starting with the House of 1,000 Corpses.
Yes, obviously.
The first movie in the trilogy.
Well, yeah. Why? Yeah. So the movie starts with Captain Spaulding, which is one of the main characters, one of the psycho killer dudes, and he like wears clown makeup on his face, and I will say that his getup and the actor does a fantastic job. Like, the getup is awesome, and the actor does a fantastic job.
Agreed. There is it's kind of funny because I think the whole movie is at least decent, but I will say is I think the movie actually started off stronger than the rest of the movie.
I 100% agree with you.
Because the movie starts off and I'm like, alright, this kind of feels like Quentin Tarantino shit, and then pretty much like right after the beginning ends, then it doesn't feel that way anymore. They kind of started off on like this very heightened sense of like excitement, and then the rest of it is nowhere near like heightened to that point.
Yeah. If you want to watch it, trust me, if you want to watch a horror movie that feels like Quentin Tarantino himself made it, go watch Hostel Part 1. I mean, I don't even have to say Part 1, it's just called Hostel, but I'm just letting people know the only one I've seen is the first one, but I know there are
probably just go watch
sequels.
Hostel Part 2 and forget about 1.
Ah, yeah, that's a good idea. Watch the sequel before the first one.
Yeah. You're supposed to watch movies out of order and
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. When people release prequels, that's when you're actually supposed to watch the movie in order. Otherwise, you're supposed to watch the sequels out of order and all that goodness.
That would be a good future Tots, maybe. Debating how you watch a franchise in which order if the prequel comes out after.
Oh. Yeah.
After like the first like trilogy.
Yeah, whether you should watch the prequels like before the original movies, or if you should watch
if you should watch it in release date order or story order.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting future Tots. Probably more like a mini Tots.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that'd be a mini Tots. That doesn't seem like a subject that would be able to be stretched out that much.
Let us know below if you think that would be an interesting mini Tots.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one was released in order.
Oh yeah.
Like it was released and in story. Like everything was in order.
Released and in story.
Well, release date and story was in order.
Yeah.
But anyway, House of a Thousand Corpses, in my opinion, it starts off super, super strong with like the very first scene, but then like right after that scene, the rest of the movie is just like pretty average, in my opinion.
Yeah, which it kind of makes sense that the first scene is the best scene because like first off it is a really fun and interesting scene. But also it has Captain Spaulding in it, which is the highlight of like the entire franchise.
Yeah, which I think another reason that it was pretty average was probably the fact that in House of a Thousand Corpses, you're more or less meeting the psychos and kind of learning about them rather than things just happening that are crazy and you're already like roped in. And so I feel like it's more of like I don't know. I felt like the first movie was more of like a learning the characters kind of a thing rather than a good movie in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree 100%. It felt like an introduction to the characters.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It's just really average.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. But yeah, and there's some scenes that are very questionable in terms of, like it's just in general like there are some scenes that are kind of bad.
Oh, you mean I really didn't like the scene where the chick was in the graveyard and she kept looking around and she could only see her dress.
Yeah, that was
she
really
was like
retarded.
A ghost that was like running around her, and every time it's like literally, I'm not even joking. These characters, the Psycho family, they are presented as humans that are just crazy.
Yeah.
And they're like a family of crazies. Okay, and then they decide near the end of this movie, House of Corpses, the one chick who starts to run away, she ends up falling over in like a graveyard place where they probably buried a bunch of other victims, and then she stands up and is freaking out, and then she can hear the girl, the sister, her name is Baby. And so she starts like turning around a lot and freaking out because she can hear her. But the camera shows us like basically what is kind of like her view, like her point of view as she's turning around. And every time she turns around where she hears Baby, you can only see a part of Baby's dress run off screen, as if you couldn't really see her. You could just see like a very small glimpse of her, and then she disappears. Yeah, and it would do that every time she turned around in the point of view. And I was sitting there like, this isn't a ghost movie. That's literally no joke, the
Spooky
same
ghost,
type
bruh.
of scene you would see in a ghost movie, where like a ghost is laughing and they keep turning around and they only see like a small glimpse of the ghost.
Yeah.
And it's because it's a ghost, so it makes sense that you see a small glimpse and then it's gone.
It makes sense within the logic. Here it does not.
Here it doesn't. She's a
No
human
logic
being,
is here.
and she's like, "Whoa, she disappeared." I don't get it. It was really dumb.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite scene in the whole movie. And it's funny because that's the scene where I said, bruh, these characters, they have superpowers. It's confirmed. They do, Rob. They have superpowers. And both you and Mom were both like, nah, no, they don't have superpowers. It was just a silly scene. And then, as the movies progressed, we see that they have superpowers.
I was constantly confused in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
And that is why it's like so average, because even though I still enjoyed the movie, like it wasn't necessarily completely horrible, a lot of it didn't quite make sense. A lot of it didn't really click with me, and I was kind of confused on why things were happening at certain points. And like whether and another thing is that it makes it pretty clear that they're just humans. But then you have a scene like that where it's like baby's basically a ghost and can disappear.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. And then she ends up going underground and finding Dr. Satan, who looks like a mutant of some sort.
Bro, that was one of my favorite parts. It literally looked like she entered the video game boss arena.
And then fucking Earl, who literally looked like he's some sort of like super villain from a superhero show.
No, that's what I'm saying. Dr. Satan and Earl both looked like, and I said that when we were watching them, they look like a video game boss fight.
I mean, they do, and
or they look like video game bosses.
I agree, and that's my point, is that it's very confusing, extremely confusing.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, okay, so they're also part of the Firefly family, and clearly they have some sort of weird supernatural thing going on with them, because that they make it pretty clear that there's something weird about them that's not 100% human.
Yeah.
Like maybe some of it's demonic or something.
Oh, most likely. I mean, remember when before she got there, she was, let down into the ground in a coffin with the one guy, and then, like, fucking dead bodies started getting up and trying to, like, eat them.
Yeah. But that's my point, is that I don't understand, because then that's basically Dr. Satan and Earl, who are part of the Firefly family, have some sort of demonic thing about them, which the movie kind of shows, like it gives the vibe that they do. But then the entire movie makes it pretty clear that the other members of the family, before they were put underground, the ones that were like in the household, were just humans. Like they didn't have, like they were very evil humans, very psychotic humans, but they didn't have like a demonic thing about them.
Yeah.
They're just like really evil human beings.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I'm so confused.
Yeah.
So only part of the family is kind of human, kind of demonic, and the other part is just human but super evil?
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, actually, the more I think about it, the more that the entire end of the movie was spelling out what was to come in the series, which is that the characters have superpowers.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's scenes like that, and then there's some other scenes that like legit just like completely avoid logic, where you can't even say, "Wow, the characters have superpowers," because it doesn't even involve that. Like the whole part when the cops showed up, and both fucking got capped. Yeah, so they died, and then and that was like during the daytime. And then it's like nighttime and nobody has shown up, even though you would think that cops would show up after other cops disappeared. Oh,
Oh
yes, of
yeah,
course.
I
Cops don't
forgot.
investigate other cops that disappeared. No, of course not. Why would you investigate that?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Doesn't it literally goes like past 24 hours of those other two cops being shot?
Well, I don't think it was past 24 hours, but I know it was
No, it
daylight.
does. The cops don't even show up because then she escapes from being underground and then it's the next morning. Because she gets buried at night of the
Well,
morning
it's
where the
still
cops
not.
were shot, but then it's the next morning when Spaulding picks her up in the
Well,
car.
it's no, it's still not 24 hours. I mean, unless they went in the morning, but to me it looked more like it was probably afternoon when they went. But still, yeah, you're right. When she escaped, it was morning. So that means it was still a fucking long ass time and the cops were just still chilling. They were like, Tommy and Jimbo, they just went off to fucking Sangria or whatever. Fucking they fucked off to nowhere land. We don't give a fuck.
And then I don't remember. The cops didn't even show up, did they?
No, they didn't. They never showed up. That's the whole gist.
Yeah.
The only time they showed up is in the sequel, and that was definitely not because of the cops that went missing.
Yeah, it wasn't because of the cops that went missing. It was just because
Yeah.
they were like, ah, these are a psycho family. Cool. We need to find out where they've relocated.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I guess the argument to be had is that at the beginning of the second movie, when the cops are going to raid their like new farmhouse thing that they're at, because they're in a different house in the second movie, that is apparently because after a long ass time, the cops finally were like, I wonder where those other cops are. So then they went to investigate and found the other house that they've already left, the psycho family left,
Mhm.
and probably found a shit ton of dead bodies like underground and found the cops and all kinds of things.
Yeah, probably.
And then that's probably why in the second one they go after them, which I don't think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because you'd think cops would be a lot quicker to being like, all right, well, we know that they went to check out something that was kind of mysterious and they never answered us back for like more than 20 hours.
Yeah. That's just a wee
I
bit
wonder if
sus.
they're okay.
Tommy and Jimbo, they'll be fine. They can handle themselves.
It's just there's no logic there.
There is no logic. And then they find their bodies and they're like, guess that's where Tommy and Jimbo went. Goddamn.
Also, Spaulding is like, so basically there's Spaulding, there's the mom, which Spaulding had the kids with, which is Otis and Baby. And then there's the grandpa. And then there was this one fat hillbilly guy that I don't think we ever got a name for. Remember?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were robbing his place at the beginning. He's the one that came in and hit one of them.
Yeah.
And then there was this other guy with long black hair we never got a name for.
Yeah. There was quite a lot of people that we never fully got a name or knew who they were because in the sequel a lot of them are gone basically.
And then Tiny.
Yeah.
Which is their brother that's like burnt. And he's like really tall and strong.
Yeah.
But he doesn't talk and he seems kind of brain dead.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the first movie really does, is it just kind of introduces the whole family without really introducing the entire family, because like I said, some of them we don't even get names for and they're like not treated as important at all.
Yeah.
Like that guy with, I just realized, holy fuck, the fat hillbilly guy that's in the very first scene of the movie that helps him kill the guys that are robbing Spaulding.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously part of the family, but then He even knocks out one of the characters later as well when he's pretending to be like a scarecrow with Otis.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But so he's obviously part of the family, and I think he also helped with the whole like, oh, we're gonna help you, we're gonna drive your car somewhere, whatever,
and give you a spare tire.
Yeah. So he's obviously helping. He's in a lot of portion of like what's going on. However, we don't get a name for him, and then in the sequel, he's actually completely missing.
No, yeah, that's what I'm
He's
saying. There's
not
quite a lot of
present in
characters.
Devil's Rejects at all, and he didn't even die in the first movie. So I'm like, where the fuck did he go?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of characters like that. Literally, Earl and Dr. Satan are literally
Earl,
nowhere.
I think, died in House of a Thousand Corpses because all that.
Oh yeah,
fell
I think
on him.
Yeah.
But Dr. Satan doesn't.
Earl died, but
up.
yeah, Dr. Satan, he be chilling still. So it's like, where'd Dr. Satan go? I liked him. He looked like a video game boss. Kind of a fun design because he looks like a video game boss.
It's a fun video game design.
Yeah.
Not to mention that Dr. Satan, like the mystery behind him, was in the first movie the entire reason that they were able to get people to like wonder about like Dr. Satan and want to kind of seek out a little bit of answers, and that's how they would end up getting their victims.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Satan turns out to be real, and then you tell me that that's it. That's literally your answer, is just that he's real, but we don't get literally any other info on him at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the fact that he's
that's
real,
how much depth it had. Yeah.
And I'm like,
see,
okay, that's literally like the mystery that they use to gain victims. So you would think they would expand upon Dr. Satan as a character and like what he is, who he is in the family, what role he plays, and all kinds of things.
Yeah, and see, when you say like the whole thing about like what you're talking about, like when we finish the movies, that like all these movies, you can. I'm trying to get my thought out. That's why there's so many likes there, bruh. My brain is like way slower than my mouth right now. So you were saying basically like you could watch one of these movies and then you like, and it doesn't like, you don't have to see the other movies to not to understand what's going on. Like,
yeah,
you could watch the second movie
is because they don't
without
have
watching
any,
the first.
They don't have any interesting info in any of the movies that's interesting enough to carry over and be like important.
Yeah, and
which
that's
I actually think is a bad thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is actually if you just like if House of a Thousand Corpses was just like self-contained as its own movie, the Dr. Satan twist would actually be really cool because it just you learn that he's real, and then that's just where it ends and speculation begins. But then the speculation ends in the sequel because he's not there, and then you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. That's his only appearance in the whole trilogy, is the fact that, oh, look, he's real, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, he even had, I thought he had kind of a creepy design, and I was, like, interested to find out more about him, but nope.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I egg on them for having video game boss designs, which they do, I also thought they were actually pretty cool and at least somewhat creepy.
Yeah. And he looked like he did like lobotomies or something, because he had like 2 or 3 people in there sitting on couches with like holes in their heads and acting like they were brain dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I hate lobotomies and I hate eyeball stuff and I whatever, but can you at least give me some info about his character and like his role in the family? Is he like a patriarch of the family and that's why they use him as like bait for victims?
Yeah.
Like, why did they use him specifically, his tail, as bait?
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine he's probably like at the epicenter of all of it. Like, he's kind of the one that's like like you said, the patriarch.
And then another
family.
thing, why is he called Dr. Satan? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. That's where it's like
It's
kind of
weird,
fun.
but it's interesting. But the interesting factor comes in me wanting to learn more. And when I don't learn anything new, except for the fact that he just exists, then it becomes uninteresting.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. If the first movie was self-contained, then you would be interested because you'd be like, "Who is he?" Like, and there wouldn't be
Yeah.
a sequel to give you answers to that, but the sequel doesn't give you answers. So,
And yeah, they do tell like this little tale about Dr. Satan and whatever, and that oh he was hung or whatever, and he's still alive or something. Like whatever it is. But the point
mhm.
is that tale that they say is used to gain victims. So I'm like, how much of that tale can we really rely on as truth?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes me, and see, that's once again where it's fun because then you can kind of speculate, like with the first movie, if it was self-contained, because you can go, honestly, it kind of makes sense, at least to me, why like that it would be completely true because of how we know this family to be. They probably wouldn't lie about that, and it still would get the attention of people that see that story.
Yeah, but even then, it's still like we still didn't learn stuff I would want to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. At least in the sequel, I think, like I said, if it was just in the first movie, I think it would have worked completely fine. But the sequel came along and gave no answers, and he even wasn't in it. So
In my opinion, the reason House of a Thousand Corpses is like painfully average to me is because it's self contained.
yeah,
This could have actually been an even more interesting first movie had the second movie picked up right where this one left off and actually continued with like really important story points and stuff like Dr. Satan.
oh yeah,
However,
I'd agree.
what's kind of funny about that is it's kind of a double edged sword. Had the sequel done that, it would have made the first movie more interesting, but I'm not sure if it would have been good for the second movie because as it is now, with the second movie being kind of disconnected, kind of its own thing, sort of separate,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's a lot better than the first movie.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of a double edged sword. Had they continued with super important storylines from the first, it would have made the first better. However, the fact that it's not quite connected to the first, like on every point and important things, that actually makes the second better.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So it's kind of like choose your poison.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't be completely mad at it, but considering that's how it is the second's better because it's not as connected to the first. That actually still makes the first like even worse for me.
Yeah.
But it also makes the second even better in a way.
Yeah.
Kind
And
of.
I think my biggest gripe with the first movie is just that it wasn't really that scary, which is kind of crazy because it had super dark like story, a super dark story and theme,
Yeah.
but like it really wasn't scary at all. And I when we were watching, I know the reason why. I thought about it and I was like, "Wait, I completely see why this movie isn't scary at all." And the reason why is because the main characters literally have no chance at all against these people. Like my
Except the one girl escapes, but then she immediately gets in a car with them. Like
I mean, yeah.
unknowingly because she doesn't know Spalding is part of the family. And
I
Spalding's
mean,
like, "Get in the car, sweetheart."
yeah.
But she does technically escape. So had she not gotten in the car with Spalding, she would have actually lived.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
Probably.
saying yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that the best horror movies that I've seen, the main characters have like almost an equal amount of well, maybe not an equal. They have a chance of survivability, like maybe 25/30% chance. Like it's somewhat high, but not like super high to where that it's like completely equal with the person that that's trying to chase and kill them, or the ghost that's trying to chase and kill them, or whatever.
Oh, I think the reason it wasn't scary, I think I see what you mean, is because a lot of horror movies, they kind of have this cat and mouse kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
This one doesn't.
Yeah, this one is
It's
literally.
literally we're going to help you. JK, you're now a prisoner.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So once
literally.
they're a prisoner, you're already like, well, they're done for now.
Yeah, and it's not like other movies where the characters may become prisoners, but then they might escape, and then it becomes this huge chase
Right.
and to get them out of the house and shit. But no, they're literally trapped in this house for 90% of the movie, doing absolutely nothing but getting tortured.
Yeah. Other movies is like a cat and mouse, like a chase. This one is like a cat and a mouse, but the cat goes, "I'm gonna help you," and then lets the mouse walk directly into the trap, and then like is like has it as a prisoner
Yeah.
for like the rest of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see your point. I
Yeah.
didn't think it was scary either. But the
Yeah.
only thing that kept my interest was the fact that I thought the Firefly family, because of how crazy they were, it was kind of interesting getting to know like each and every one of them and like what their ticks are and how psycho they are and what they like to do, what they don't like.
Yeah.
All kinds of different stuff like that. Like we learn Otis loves to cut people's flesh off and wear it,
Yeah.
which is pretty fucking insane, but
Yeah.
and Baby seems to have a like very high highs and very low lows. Like it seems like her personality kind of waves, like goes up and down a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I noticed while watching it. I was like, oh my god, it just clicked with me. This is the reason that this movie isn't scary. And it's not as scary as some other horror movies I've seen that have like way less like the stories and themes are way less dark, and yet somehow they're scarier. And that's why, because they actually have that interesting dynamic of a cat and mouse chase where you're not sure whether
Yeah,
the character will get out of it alive.
I can see that because it's not only that, but when it's more about the chase, it's kind of more about the fear of what happens if they were to catch them.
Yeah, exactly.
While this movie is not about that at all. It's more about the darkness of what they're doing to them because they've already caught them, rather than being scared of what happens when they get caught.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty much caught like right away. So then the reason the movie's darker than other ones is because that's what it's about. It's about the stuff that happens once you're caught, rather than being scared about the idea of if they catch me, what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see why it's not really scary. It's more just like a dark, violent movie.
Yeah, and I feel like I think this is like the prime example of realism doesn't equal good movie / TV show / fiction in general.
I would agree. Literally, the best part, in my opinion, I had two best parts, and it was literally when she was trying to flee from Earl and she saw Dr. Satan. Why? Because that was a traditional cat and mouse. She was fleeing from one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Earl was kind of creepy, and Dr. Satan, seeing that he exists, was pretty cool, and the room they were in was really creepy too.
But see, even that part I was not like very interested or involved in, because I was just sitting there like literally every other character died. Even if they had a very small chance of escaping, they would instantly die. So like I'm not even into this. I mean, I'm pretty sure
I liked that part, and then the other part I liked was the very first scene, which is the best scene in the movie, and it's just because it pretty much sets them up as like really interesting psychos, which they pretty much are.
Yeah.
And it sets up Spaulding especially as like the most interesting psycho.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure when Earl came at the girl that went like into the little catacombs area, when she first entered the room and Earl came at her and the door was locked, I'm pretty sure I remember out loud saying, "Guys, she's dead. She's dead. She's fucking dead, lol." Like,
Yeah,
and that
the reason I said I had the same feeling, but the reason I started to like it was when he went to attack her and she dodged and it broke the door and then she ran past him. Because then I
yeah,
was like, oh, okay, so now here's an actual cat and mouse thing. She's actually running. Like, she's having somewhat of a chance right now.
yeah.
The other ones didn't even have that much of a chance. They didn't even have a chance to run. Except for the one girl, but, like, can we really count that? Because they decided Baby was a ghost out of fucking nowhere.
Not only that, but Baby caught her within seconds and killed her.
Yeah, Earl actually had, like, this chase going on with her.
So once again, it wasn't even like a cat and mouse. It was more like Baby already had the mouse in the cage and she was just fucking with her for a couple seconds before she killed her.
Yeah, because she's also a ghost, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying though, is that whole idea, it takes you out of the movie once they finally decide to do that whole cat and mouse chase kind of thing at the end, because then you're like, I don't feel like this is going to be a cat and mouse chase. I feel like this is going to be, you're going to get gamer ended in a couple seconds.
True.
Because literally that's what happened to literally every single other character in the movie. If you give all of the characters a fighting chance, even if they all die, then it makes all of the characters' fighting chance a lot more impactful because you've seen all of them actually have a chance.
Yeah. So, are you ready for the ratings?
Man, I think I was gonna say something else, but I'm not for sure. Oh yeah, what I was basically saying about the whole realism thing is that it ties into the whole cat and mouse thing. That's all I really wanted to say when I brought up that realism doesn't always equal good in fiction, and this is a prime example because it did feel pretty, at least somewhat realistic, because the characters had like no chance at all. But that's what made it not scary, is because they had no chance at all. So then you're just not involved in it at all. You're just like, well, I'm just like watching torture porn now.
I mean, yeah. That's why I was like, the only thing that was interesting about the movie was pretty much the actual psycho family.
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of interested in like how psycho they are rather than like interested in exactly what's going on, if that makes sense. You're more interested in seeing how psycho they are rather than interested in what's actually happening in the movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna rate it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say one more quick thing is that I will say that I actually really respect, and I thought it was really cool that I could tell that Rob Zombie was actually being really creative with the movie, even if it didn't really land. Like, there was a lot of really creative things, like the aforementioned Earl and Dr. Satan. Their designs were super creative and out there, at least for a movie.
Yee.
So yeah. Yeah, let's proceed on to the ratings. I would give this a solid. I'd give it a solid 5. I think it's completely average, not below, not above.
I'd give
Right
it
in
a
the middle.
5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Except the only difference is I would actually probably describe it as painfully average. But
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree. I'd describe it as painfully average too. I was bored through most of it. There was only a couple scenes where I was like, "Oh."
And Spalding is the complete star of the show, and he's only in like at the very beginning and end, basically.
Oh yeah. He steals the spotlight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason, part of the only reason I kept watching, aside from the fact that we were going to do a podcast on it. What? Oh wait, no, we didn't actually decide we were going to do that. So actually, yeah, no, that wouldn't be a part of it. The only reason I kept watching it was because of Spalding. The intro scene was like a fantastic scene, so I was like, I want to see where this goes.
And then the second movie was Devil Rejects.
which I actually only watched because I've heard a lot more great things about it than the first movie.
And I can see why.
Yeah, I can see why too. It was a lot better, although it still had quite a few problems. Oh yeah, and I also will say, uh, before we fully move on, I don't remember if this is like true or not, but I'm pretty sure House of a Thousand Corpses is Rob Zombie's first movie.
Okay.
So that's something that made me respect the movie a bit more too, because I was like, he really went all out. He went out there. It was at least interesting, even if it was like not a very good movie. So yeah, I don't know. I think it was a good first movie. It's just not a good movie in general.
Yeah. So Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, let's move on now.
Yeah, because it's getting close to 9. It's creeping up.
Yeah, these
So
creepy little.
Devil's Rejects is not really connected, like we said before. Pretty much all 3 of these movies, like literally all 3 of them, if you just watch one of them, and it doesn't matter which one it is, you could watch the third, you could watch the second, you could watch the first. All of them feel like standalone movies because not only do they not really connect, like they don't even, like in dialogue, they don't even really say callbacks to like the past movie or anything really.
Actually, that's incorrect. They do in the third. Remember, she says to the one guy in Mexico, she's like, "You remind me a lot of Tiny." I just thought of that when you were saying that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, actually, they did in the third movie."
Yeah, but that also technically you don't have to watch the other one to know that
Yeah,
Tiny is like a brother or something, because they're all like, okay, the third one starts off with like the Otis baby and Spalding on death row.
yeah.
So you can assume Tiny's probably dead, and Tiny is a brother of hers.
No, yeah, I know. I could.
So
Yeah, I
even
could.
even that, it's like you don't even have to know exactly who Tiny is to like get the point.
Yeah, you can kind of assume the context from assume the
Yeah, but
what it is
see, the
from the
point is
context.
they don't reference actual events from past movies and stuff. They don't,
Yeah,
and they also don't like carry over story points from past movies either, like make them important in the next movie. They don't do any of that, so you can literally watch any of them and just watch
I
one
think
of them and be completely fine.
actually, I think the third is the only one you can't do that with. Now, the more I think about it, because remember the like cartel leader was the brother of the detective in the second movie, and that was a big plot point because he was like gunning for them
I
for
mean, I
revenge.
guess, but you could also see. I mean, you don't really have to, because if you have a keen eye, you could just see how Otis in the third movie is in the same cart with him as prisoners, and then you even see when he's being broken out that they kill him on television. So then you
Wait,
could
was it?
just
Oh yeah, it was Danny
Danny
Trejo
Trejo.
that died. Okay, never mind, never mind. For some reason, I was thinking he was the brother of the one detective. I forgot that he was the brother of Danny Trejo. Yeah, never mind,
No,
never
he
mind.
was the son of Danny
Yes,
Trejo.
or yeah, the son. Yeah.
So yeah, even
Okay, yeah, never mind.
so there's there's no connection. You can watch one of them and not have to watch any of the others.
Oh yeah, yeah, you definitely could.
So, but that is actually a good thing for The Devil's Rejects, because the second movie, The Devil's Rejects, is the best, and it's probably because of that reason that you can
Yep.
just watch it without watching any of the others, and it can still be a really good watch.
Yeah.
Um, this one, that aforementioned black-haired guy that we don't have a name for, he dies right at the beginning of this one, and
Oh
then
yeah, he
the
does. You're
mom
right.
like cries over his body and gets arrested.
Yeah.
During basically this one starts off, and that's the thing, is another reason on why you can watch any of them is because every single one of them starts off kind of giving you context to what's going on.
Yeah.
Because this one already starts off with like newspapers and stuff and being like, these guys have like 70 plus murders. They're complete psychopath family. And then
Yeah.
and then it goes right into the police trying to arrest them at their like farmhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's like that it gives you every context you need to just watch the movie and enjoy, which I kind of like. But the third one does the same. Because the second one, even though this does carry over technically, they get shot a shit ton by cops at the end of the second. And then they're like they go to the hospital, they get healed up, and they which doesn't quite make sense, but and then they are obviously arrested. In the beginning of the third movie, they even show newspapers of like bullet wounds all over their bodies and stuff, and being like showing them in hospitals and stuff. So and saying that they're basically once again kind of reiterating what the second movie said, basically, psycho family got arrested, shot in a police confrontation, but they're healing nicely, but they're on death row and fucking shit like that.
Healing nicely.
They're healing very nicely. But what's funny is that we saved them in a hospital from all the bullet wounds that was inflicted on them, just to then throw them on death row to kill them anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, why would you put them in the hospital to begin with?
Brain dead.
To be like, let's make sure that they survive long enough to die later on death row.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude.
I don't know.
Hell yeah, brother.
Sense. But anyway, the second one, we're talking about the second one right now. It basically is like cops are like, yo.
We're talking about the second one right now.
Yeah, the cops are basically trying to arrest them, and it turns into a shootout at their house. And Otis and Baby flee. The black-haired guy with no name dies. Mom cries over his body, and then that gets her arrested because she's crying over his body. And she's also crazy. And then we learned that they killed the main cop or detective or whatever.
Yeah.
The main character cop. We learned that they killed like his brother a while back.
Yeah.
Which again, that didn't happen in the first movie. So that's actually context you only get for the second movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they killed his brother. So he's pissed off, and what I love
out for
about this one,
revenge.
what I love about this one too is that you can tell from the very beginning he's extremely pissed off at like random shit. So he's clearly like constantly infuriated and mad and pissed off and all that. But as the movie goes, it kind of shows him sort of descending further and further into his like revenge lust.
Yeah.
Because he goes from just mad at a lot of things, like even somebody saying something dumb about Elvis Presley.
Yeah, to completely mad in the brain.
To literally seeing his dead brother talking to him in his dreams, saying that he wants them dead and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so this guy is kind of like going downhill, like psychologically, because of his revenge, like his revenge lust. And that I actually enjoyed a lot. And the cop, the actor that plays the cops, did a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah, he was a fantastic actor.
I kept saying that he would be an amazing Punisher.
Yeah, he did. Mainly because of the end scene where he's like, he captures the killers and is like torturing them and shit.
Yep. But so that the main good guy is the cop slowly descending into madness because he wants revenge, basically. And then the other side of the movie is following Spaulding finding out that they're all wanted now and being like, oh shit, I gotta go, be with my kids, protect them, which is Baby and Otis. So then when Baby and Otis and them meet up, the rest of the movie is basically them on the run.
Yeah.
And trying to like find some place that they can kind of chill and be like a safe house.
Yeah.
And honestly, the movie is really good. There's a lot of things that happen while they're on the run and while the cop is descending into his madness for wanting revenge for his brother. But it's like honestly really good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll agree with you. The better parts of the movie stand out to me more than the stupid parts. Although there are
Yeah,
quite a few
there are
stupid
some
parts.
dumb parts in this movie. It's just that in my opinion, there's more good ones than dumb ones.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And when he gets pissed off about Elvis Presley, that made me laugh.
Yeah.
I was sitting there like, yeah, don't you talk about Presley
I
that way.
was
Get
sitting
the
there
fuck
like
out of my house.
fanboys be like.
Yeah. I was like, bro, you a simp for Presley.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say, to be honest, because when I like a movie a lot, I'm a little bit more lost for words, because like, you know, when you don't like something, it's easier to point out what you don't like about it. But when you do
Yeah.
like something, it's kind of harder to articulate exactly why you like it,
Yeah.
other than just kind of being like, I just like it, it's good.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I mean, I guess I could say that, like, for example, they take some people hostage in a hotel place, and Otis and Baby, they split up. Baby stays with the two girls that are hostages, and Otis
Mm-hmm.
goes with the two boys that are hostages. And then I was immediately like, logically, as the hostages, you would be like, okay, now the people that have taken us hostage are outnumbered, both of them.
Yeah.
Because Otis is with two of the boy hostages, which should easily be able to overpower him.
Yeah.
And then Baby is with two female hostages, which should also probably be able to overpower her. Because it's two females versus one female, two male versus one male.
Yeah.
And they're in separate places, so Otis and Baby can't help each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, to me, I'm like, logically, this would be the moment that would make sense if they were to somehow get free. But for some reason, even though one of the guys hits Otis on the back of the head with like a wooden plank really hard, and he even falls over because it hurt that bad,
Yeah.
basically he still ends up winning a fight against both of them somehow.
Yeah, even
And I'm
though they
like,
had
wait,
the
what?
huge advantage.
And that's where it comes down to. I think that was another one of those. Because one thing I will say about Rob Zombie, for some reason, randomly, he loves this psycho family that he's built so much that he'll just throw logic out the window in order to make them survive a scene.
Oh yeah, he literally gives them plot armor.
Like, so, like, even though this movie has more logic in it than the other two, there are still those moments like the one I just said where he'll just randomly be like, but Otis has to survive, so let's just throw logic out the window.
Yeah, so somehow, even though he got knocked down flat on the ground, probably should be unconscious right now, he's gonna get up and overpower both of these men.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and the reason he overpowered them is also complete, like, fucking, you know, the I think it's the term is Deus Ex Machina, which is basically something it's basically a term to describe something appearing out of completely nowhere in fiction to save a certain character from, like, certain doom or whatever. Like something that was previously not, you know, at all, you know, even hinted out or shown.
Okay.
And that's how Otis wins. Because remember, he's grabbing onto the foot of the one guy as he's going for the gun, and then he sees, oh, this man has a boot knife. So then he grabs his boot knife and stabs his friend, and you're like, all right, it's over.
I mean, that part I'm not
won by
quite mad at,
convenience.
but like, there's a part where like one of them is literally on top of him and punching him, and he somehow overpowers him.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
Like he
that's
completely overpowers him, like in a second. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and keep in mind,
Is this man,
Otis
like,
is a skinny bum fuck. Like he
I
has
was
like
sitting
no
there,
muscle on him,
oh
basically.
yeah, and the other guy, even though he was skinny, you could tell he had more muscle than Otis.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was somewhere around the same weight, but you could tell he had more muscle than Otis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get it.
Yeah, not only that, but I'm just saying, like, just the boot knife, the convenience of the boot knife is like, all right. Completely convenient that this man had a boot knife while you were trying to grab onto his leg. so you could stab his friend.
And then of course, Otis takes the skin off of, I think, the old guy and wears it back to the hotel room.
Yeah.
Where Baby and Spaulding are waiting for him.
Yeah. And I will say that
he loves wearing other people's skin for some reason.
Yeah, and I will say the best part about this movie and 3 from Hell is that, like, it seems like Rob Zombie, instead of doing the House of a Thousand Corpses thing again, he decided, let's just, like, make the crazies the main character and just, like, relish in their absolute insanity. And in some aspects, I can see why he did that, and it's actually kind of fun at parts. Like, even though it's also like, Jesus Christ, these people are insane.
Yeah. You don't end up. It's kind of confusing because they are like so unapologetically evil, though, that it's not really like the same thing as Joker, where once he goes downhill and starts doing evil things, where you still kind of understand where he's coming from in a way. It's not like that at all. So you don't sympathize with the Firefly family at all because you're like, no, they're like unapologetically just fucking evil and psychotic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
However, there's like a small part of you that does kind of root like for them to like get out of certain situations. And then what's cool though is that even though you kind of like have a small portion of rooting for them to get out of a situation, because the cop was such a great character as well, you actually root for him more though than them.
Oh yeah, because you're like, man,
like you root for them like maybe 3%, but you root for him like 97%.
Yeah.
Which I adored. I actually liked that part of the movie. That I kind of rooted for them, just like the smallest amount, but I rooted for him a lot more.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about the whole, like, just absolutely indulging in the madness of these characters, is that I think that's why there's that 3%, because you're like, I kind of do like hope they survive so I can see what crazy shit they get up to next.
Yeah, what they do next.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Although that didn't really plan out very well.
Also, The Devil's Rejects, in my opinion, was also where all of the actors in this movie specifically, playing Baby, Otis, and Spaulding, that they were... Spaulding's amazing anytime. However, I think Baby and Otis really brought their A game to Devil's Rejects because I felt like they had a lot more charisma in their characters than they did in the first or third.
Oh yeah, I mean more in the first. I feel like they had the same amount of charisma and, like, fun with it as like in the second and third. I think they were equal in their performances.
Close, but I think there was more of it in the second.
Oh, I mean, I that would make sense. I just don't really. I didn't see it.
They're in a car, Spaulding, Baby, and Otis. And Otis is like, "You're not getting any fucking ice cream." And both of them are like, "We want ice cream." And they're just like sitting there arguing. And then he goes, "Fuck you." And then Baby's like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is going on?
But then, like, Spaulding takes her side, and he's like, "I kind of want ice cream too, though."
Yeah, he's like, "Ice cream sound good, though."
Yeah. And see, that's what I'm saying also, is like Rob Zombie, I feel like, is at his best when he has those scenes too, where you're watching this absolutely crazy psycho family and they're having this, like, fucking conversation that's completely, what do you call it, off balanced or whatever from all the crazy, like, murdering mayhem shit they do.
They don't argue over, like, anything that happened with hostages that went wrong or killing people or anything, but they argue over if they're getting ice cream or not.
Yeah.
After they've killed people.
Yeah, I feel like it's like the peak of dark comedy, basically. Like, they go and kill people, and then while they're driving away from the murder scene, they're fighting over whether they'll get ice cream or not. And then it just cuts to a scene of Spaulding and Baby. They have ice cream.
Yeah, there were some good scenes
that
made me laugh, like that one. When he got mad about that one guy saying something about Presley, And then when the pimp and his guy went to buy a chicken and he talked about cutting the head off and fucking the body of the chicken. And I was like, it's funny, but also why? Why are
Yeah.
you saying this?
Yeah.
And they were both sitting there like, we're not chicken fuckers. He was like, I don't know, you look like you are.
Yeah.
It's just it's basically mixing psychotic shit with like really dark comedy.
Yeah. And
And it
that's what I'm
actually works
saying.
well in this movie, while I think it sometimes did, sometimes didn't in the other two.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I don't think that it's why I think this one's a lot better though than the first movie, because I feel like the first movie didn't really go for that angle.
Right. It didn't.
Yeah, I went for a regular horror movie
And the
vibe.
third did a little bit, but I don't think it worked quite as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. But yeah, this one went like balls deep in that whole area of like following this crazy psycho family, and
Bro.
it's like a dark comedy basically. It's not even really super horror. Like it's not even really horror at all.
Well, are you
I
ready to
mean,
rate it?
you
Double
could say
percent.
there's horror aspects, but like I don't know. I think the closest it ever got to quote unquote horror is the fact that he cut off that guy's face. But it's still not even like that's what I mean. It's like it's just not even that like scary. And I think that's the good thing is he realized that the first movie wasn't scary maybe. So then maybe he decided the better thing would be to turn it into a dark comedy.
That could have been.
I mean, I could see it. I don't know. I think this movie was a lot better. It had some logical it had some leaps of logic, but I mean, I kind of
I
expect
don't
that
think
from
it
the
had
series now.
as many though as the other two.
I feel like the first movie had way less leaps of logic than this one. But I mean, that doesn't really matter to me because oh yeah, one of the biggest ones that was like really dumb though is the fact that like Spaulding and Otis got out of the one burning building and they were alive.
Oh, yeah. We gotta mention that at the end,
Yeah.
the cop is torturing them and being like, "Yeah, how do you like being the victim?" And like stapling their victims to their chests and stuff, and like planning to like torture them and then kill them. And then he ends up playing the game, which this is the only thing that had you watched the first movie would be a cool callback.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the first movie, the one girl starts running in a bunny suit,
Yeah.
and that's the one that we don't like the scene because she trips and then baby is acting like a ghost.
Yeah.
But baby chases her while she's in a bunny suit, and it's obviously just like a little game because they know she's not going to escape.
Yeah.
At the end of this one, this is like the only thing, if you watch the first, would be a really cool callback. I liked it. Was the cop ends up letting baby free and letting her run away a little bit, but then like leaves Otis and Spaulding strapped to their chairs, and then he gets a gun and he follows her out of the like farmhouse because he's torturing them in the basement of the farmhouse that they tried to arrest them in at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And so she's running around the like stables and stuff and like trying to hide and like run at the same time while he's like holding his gun and walking around and being like, "Here, bunny, bunny, bunny." And I was sitting there like, "Bro, this is a great callback."
Yeah.
But yeah, he ends up like finding her and like punching her a couple times, and then before he kills her, Tiny basically wrecks the cop.
Yeah.
Basically, just kills him and is like, "Hot lol."
Yeah.
And
And I
then
will say that
and then Tiny goes in the burning house and saves Otis and Spaulding, and I'm like, I don't think it's like a completely awful ending because then after that they get in a car, try to drive away, and then
there's a
they
cop
come they
blockade.
yeah they come to a police blockade, and then they try and drive through it while shooting at the cops, and obviously they all get shot a shit ton, and then
Oh yeah.
because if you don't know that there's a third, then you're led to believe that that's how it ended. They died.
Yeah. In a police
Which
shootout at a blockade.
which I think would have made the part when Tiny saves them not as bad had they actually died at the blockade.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that scene was really cool.
Oh yeah, that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. I thought that was a really cool scene.
So that's why I'm not mad at the Tiny thing. The only reason I
mean, it still doesn't make sense to me. That's why I'm like.
The only reason I get mad at the Tiny rescuing her at the last second thing is because of the third movie, which we'll discuss in a minute.
Yeah.
But
see, that's the thing too, is that you don't need to watch the other movies for context, but it is cool to watch the other movies because, like, I'll give Rob Zombie this as well, is that at least with these movies, there are callbacks, even if like, and they still work within the movie. Like that whole bunny thing that you were talking about with the detective, that's a callback, but it also works solely in the movie.
Right. It's kind of like if you watch the other movies, it's kind of more like an Easter egg, sort of.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have that previous knowledge, then you're like, ah, I can connect it.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed throughout
needed to connect it.
And one of the things I noticed throughout the trilogy that I thought was actually pretty funny is that one of the callbacks that, like I said, happened throughout the trilogy is people saying "fuck you."
Yeah, it's
like
always
before they die, basically.
You. No, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like when most of the time Otis's victims would say "fuck you" to him, and Otis would say "no, fuck you."
Yeah.
But then the cop said it at the end of Devil's Rejects to Otis because Otis said "fuck you," and the cop said "no, fuck you."
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens through all of the movies. So.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think that's really
it was mainly
really clever and funny. So. And I feel like that's like basically the perfect example of the fact that the series shines the best when it's like basically a dark comedy.
Yeah.
Because the tagline is basically "fuck you, no, fuck you."
Which is why, in my opinion, Devil's Rejects, the second movie, is the best out of the trilogy because it's the most like a dark comedy. It's the funniest out of all three, in my opinion. And it also just has the best story out of all three.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So best 100%. Story, best acting, in my opinion. I think all the actors actually did their best in that one as well.
Yeah.
And overall, just like there's more good in it than there is bad.
Yeah.
There's just enough bad for me to not think that it's perfect, though. Like it's
I'd agree.
It's not like an amazing movie, but
yeah, it's definitely not a 10 out of 10
for me to say that it's a great movie.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
I can't say that either of the other two are great movies, though.
Yeah,
so in my personal opinion, I would actually say, since none of them connect, I would tell people probably to just watch Devil's Rejects and forget about the other two.
I 100% agree. And if they did really want to watch the other two, even if they just wanted context, then I'd be like, only watch the first. Because at least it's got, like, substance. At least it's actually got something there.
However,
and it would connect to the sequel.
However, I do think if you only watch Devil's Rejects, the second movie, and you just kind of block the fact that there's a first and a third movie out of your brain, and you're like, this is all of the story that it has to offer, I think the story is really good if it's just that one movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the beginning, it tells you that they're psychos, they killed more than 70 people, so you know how evil they are already. Then the movie continues to show you how evil they are throughout, and then the whole thing with the cop plot, which is fucking awesome. And then it just all concludes in a way where if you don't watch the third, you could have in your own like headcanon that that's how they died at the end.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that is the best way to end the story. Would have been to end it where Devil's Rejects ended, with them dead.
I agree 100%. That would have been a fantastic end, a little fantastic send off to the series.
And a fantastic send off to these really psycho characters.
Yeah.
Like literally, I think that sounds awesome. Create
Yeah.
these completely psychotic family. Have the three of them literally try to drive through a police blockade shooting at them, and that's how they die.
Yeah.
That's cool to me.
Yeah, I think it
And
is
it's
too.
also like a big flashy ending to their lives. for characters that are psychotic, it just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
one of
agree
the
with you
times where
100%.
the logic actually makes sense. However, there had to be a third, so that logic was kind of thrown out the window.
Yeah. And see, that's the funny thing too, is I was gonna say that this movie, another reason why I love it so much is because of the fact that actually just now thinking about it, and I'm going off on a different point real quick. Thinking about it right now, I was like, oh, another reason why I liked it so much more than the first is because hey, they actually have the fucking cat and mouse thing this time. Like the main characters that they're like,
Yeah,
not the
but you
main
know why
characters, but
it's
the
so
side
good?
characters they're trying to kill are actually like they have a chance. Damn, son.
Nick, not only that, there's a bigger cat and mouse game going on through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And the roles are reversed. The psychos are the mouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cop that's wanting to torture and kill them for revenge, the policeman is the cat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I like it so much. Rob Zombie
It
literally
actually
said,
got the key
"Oh,
ingredient.
Rob Zombie literally went, "Oh, cat and mouse," as in victim. The victim is the mouse and the psycho is the cat. How about this? The psycho is the mouse and the police is the cat.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing idea, and it works really well.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. And that's what I'm
It's a
saying is
role
that
reversal.
and that's what I'm saying he got what he didn't get in the first movie. He was like, "Oh, a cat and mouse makes the movie better. All right. Cat and mouse now."
Yeah, and then I think he just kind of was ingenious in making it like a role reversal, though.
No, I know, but I'm just
Who
saying
the
just in
cat is and who
general
the
throughout
mouse
the
is.
movie too.
Well, yeah.
Like all of their victims throughout the movie because they kill other people like the ones in the motel actually like end up having somewhat of a chance but they end up dying anyways.
Yeah.
But you're like, hey, at least they had a fucking chance. Although I will say that the first movie did leave a sour taste in your mouth, in my mouth, that is. Like because it still had that lingering feeling of I've seen the first, all of these people are gonna fucking die, so it doesn't matter.
Are you ready to rate it?
No, because I was also gonna say that another reason why I think this movie was a lot better is because this time around, what was kind of interesting and what I noticed throughout the series is I think he's going for different things for each movie. This one, it kind of felt like a Quentin Tarantino like crime drama with comedy, like like a Pulp Fiction or something like that. Except obviously the main characters are psychos, so they get a little more wild than the main characters in Pulp Fiction. Not too much more wild. I mean, the main way they kill people is stabbing or shooting, really. The only one that actually got out there is when Otis cut the guy's face off. Otherwise, everyone else died by like getting shot, basically. So it felt like it felt like he went for a like kind of like a crime, Quentin Tarantino crime movie this time around, in my opinion, and I think it paid off.
Yeah.
And what I was saying about the whole like I've noticed this throughout the series, and I think it's actually really cool and interesting, is that the first movie is like a horror thriller on the vein in the vein of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something like that. The second movie is like a Quentin Tarantino drama crime movie with comedy in there, like dark comedy.
Uh-huh.
And then the third movie, it felt like a road trip movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the third movie felt like Black Butler season 2.
Whoa! No, I'm just meaning like
Get
in the
fucking wrecked.
And I'm just meaning in the type of like, genre, like the type of movie that he was making. It felt like horror thriller, Quentin Tarantino crime movie, road trip movie.
I mean, I get it, but all right, are you ready to rate the second?
Yeah.
Okay. I would give it a 7 out of 10. For me, 8 is amazing, and I said it's a great movie, and 7 is great for me.
Mm-hmm.
So the first movie, 5, this one's a 7. So that's considerably better.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like, if I take this movie at face value by itself, I feel like it's a lot better than if I include the first movie. And I think that was my main problem when I saw the second movie, and I gave it a 7 that time. But the part of the reason I didn't like it wasn't even its fault. It's just because the first movie left such a sour taste in my mouth. I was like,
so it's actually an 8 or a 9 for you now.
Thinking back on it, I think I'd probably give it an 8. Like, I could actually see myself going back and rewatching this movie amazing. Because there's some great scenes in there.
So it's amazing.
Yeah. I'd say it is amazing. I'd definitely say that people that watch this, you should either just watch this and not watch any of the rest of the series, or at least divorce this from the first movie. Because the first movie will probably leave a sour taste in your mouth.
We did and be like, watch all 3 out of like curiosity and everything, but then after you've seen all 3, really just watch the second and just be like, the second one is the only one that matters.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So both of us say it's considerably better.
Oh yeah.
And now the third
huge
movie.
Improvement.
Yay!
The third movie. Wah!
And we have like 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, quick summation. This is worse than the first movie. It's worse.
It's a lot worse.
Is a lot worse.
I literally compared it already, the third movie, to Black Butler Season 2, which I fucking hate.
Yeah. Like, I know you hate it, and for the viewers out there, you now know Rob hates Black Butler Season 2, and he just compared it to the third movie.
It's because this movie and Black Butler Season 2 actually have a lot in common. Mm-hmm. They threw so much logic out of the window.
Oh yeah. Not
even like later on. Literally at the very beginning of both Black Butler Season 2 and 3 from Hell. At the very, very beginning, throwing logic out the window just to make an excuse to have a sequel.
Oh yeah.
That's what both of them did, which is why it's a good comparison.
Yeah, because they literally were shot to shit in this first and
second movie. Not only that, both of them did the same thing. They resurrected characters that died at the end of the previous thing just to have an excuse for a sequel.
Yeah.
With zero logic on why they're alive again.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
And then...
Oh my god.
Bruh. And then they killed off the star of the show, Spaulding, and then you're just like,
Yeah, I'm literally like, okay, Devil's Rejects is so good, and part of the reason...
fucking done!
Not only was Devil's Rejects really good because, good writing, he may have thrown logic out the window occasionally, but it wasn't to the point of being like, this guy literally got shot to death and now he's alive again. Nothing like that. Nothing so ridiculous where you're like, that actually makes not even like 1% logic.
Yeah, which is part of the reason I compare it to a Quentin Tarantino crime movie, because I'm like, there's like at least a semblance of logic there.
But this movie literally even starts off with so little logic that you're literally like, I literally can't even believe that, because they literally are like, the 3 of them, not even one, literally he literally wrote this story and decided Spaulding would survive his bullet wounds so that he could get a lethal injection 2 seconds later and die anyway.
Yeah, and then you're like, what the
Why
fuck?
didn't you just write it to where he died of his bullet wounds to begin with?
Then at least you wouldn't be such a fucking tease.
That doesn't. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would a writer write that someone survived a mortal, like, an injury that usually would kill someone, just to have them die a different way 5 seconds later?
Exactly.
That makes zero sense. So then I immediately was like, this movie fucking sucks, because that's literally how it started, with being like,
Now that's
they all survived, but Spaulding died like a week later from, because he was on death row and they had to put him down.
Now see, that's the thing.
What?
I was ready to have my mind exploded by this movie though. I was so ready when they said that Captain Spaulding had died like by lethal injection after showing an interview with him like before he died. I was like, "Oh, shit. He's fucking dead and he didn't even die on screen. He just fucking lethal injection, guys, he's dead." and I was and that see that's the thing. For you that was a sign of uh-oh, stinky, this is going to be bad. For me, that was a sign of greatness. I was about to be like, hold up, is this movie going to be like really weird and interesting like all of the fucking psychotic killers that we've been following throughout the
Yeah,
other
like
two movies are
Spaulding
just going to
survived somehow.
No, I was going to say like I thought that the psycho killer family we've been following throughout this series were all going to die by like really uneventful, very anticlimactic ways, like lethal injection off screen. Like I thought that's the direction that it was gonna go.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something like, I thought it was gonna be like one of those, like, killers who can't die scenarios.
Oh no, I
And it's
would
like,
not
that's
like
why they
that.
survived their bullet wounds. And then he actually got the lethal injection. They pronounced him dead. They buried him, but he ended up still being alive. So he, like, crawled out of his grave or some shit.
I mean, I will say this: that would have been better than what we got,
Yeah,
but that's
because
still
then
not
at
what I was
least that would
thinking.
have given them, like, some sort of Halloween trope thing that's already a thing, which is that killers don't die in these movies.
Yeah.
And that kind of would have been fun, because he could have written it in a way where it's like they didn't need any explanation. It could have just been yeah, this is a trope and I'm going to use it, like, because
Nah, I
because
just
it would
say
be
that.
fun.
Nah, I'm just saying that the movie would have been better if that happened simply because if the movie did exactly what it did already, except Spalding was there, it would have been better.
Well, yeah, that's why the first isn't, like, I think the first could have been at least a 6 if Spalding was in it more.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he's like literally, like, he literally has like 3 lines, and then they're like, he died off screen,
Yeah, he has an interview with someone in his jail cell.
and it's only like a couple sentences.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's more like a little paragraph, like a little speech.
yeah, and I mean, I don't think it was the best thing ever, but
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like good either. But I mean, I wouldn't say it was.
so
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was bad.
so basically, they have it to where, not like, it would have also been a little bit more, I don't know, based in logic, had Spaulding just died from his bullet wounds to begin with, because then you'd be like, okay, then maybe I could have some semblance of, like, logic in my brain of, like, oh, it's just a coincidence that Otis and Baby survived their bullet wounds, but Spaulding didn't because he's older and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like, then you're like, okay, like, even though that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, it makes a lot more sense than what they decided, which was literally all 3 of them survived, and then he died of lethal injection later.
Yeah.
What? That's
See,
where I'm like, what?
that's what I'm saying though, is that I thought that that would have been like an amazing direction to take the movie if
I
they
don't
had not
agree.
also no, if they have not also taken the direction that they did with the movie, which is that everyone escapes and then they go to Mexico and they kill people and the cartel comes for them and blah blah blah. And it becomes a road trip movie and it's like in the vein of The Devil's
Yeah,
Rejects
so
except like
basically what
road trip.
happens is Spaulding dies of lethal injection. Otis ends up going to on like a he goes in one of those like, what is it? It's like a bus, and they take him out, and they have to like pickaxe rocks and shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Basically,
you're in a chain gang.
yeah. Basically, Otis is in a chain gang with Danny Trejo,
Which
and
is one of the people that helped the detective in the sequel capture them.
and then basically his half brother, which I also didn't like this part, just kind of like appears and busts him out.
Which we have previously never heard about at all. So he just kind of shows up and he's there.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't like that either. That was basically like a fucking, like, that didn't even make sense. They brought in a completely new actor, so it's not even a face we've seen before. Like,
Yeah,
you know what would
exactly.
have actually made a little more sense? The redneck we didn't see at all that was in the first, but he wasn't in the second at all if he was the one that broke him free.
Yeah, the one that like towed them and was like, "I'll get you tire and shit."
Yeah, the chubby redneck guy.
Yeah,
That would have
yeah,
made more sense because then it would have been like, okay, he like we know he existed at least, but
yeah.
no, it's a completely new face, new actor, new everything, new character, and comes out of completely nowhere, and they're just like, yeah, that's the Wolfman, don't you know him? He's all over the news. He's their half brother, and I'm like, no, I don't know him. I've seen 2 of these movies, and I've never seen him before.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. You're just making a random ass character just because and saying it's a half brother of Otis's, literally just to have an excuse for him to break free.
Yeah, yeah. It's very stupid.
I absolutely hate this kind of writing. This is another reason why I compared it to Black Butler season 2 because that's basically all of the writing in that season. Is
Yeah,
just
pulling
oh,
stuff
we're
out
just
your
gonna
ass to
fucking
save the
write this
characters.
thing because we can, and it just makes other things happen. And you're like, but that's not how you write. You're supposed to like methodically have things thought out, but instead you just drop a fucking thing in there and
Yeah.
go, oh, that's why.
Yeah, you just
It
drop
makes
a
no
fat
sense.
shit on the piece of paper that you're writing on and then you go, "That's good. I'm gonna send that in tomorrow."
Yeah, it makes zero sense. So, I hate the half brother. I think that the actor did a good job and everything, and I think because of that, I thought the half brother was at least decently interesting. However, the way he was written into the story as an excuse to break out Otis and everything already left me being like, I fucking hate this character.
Yeah, same.
So then it kept going, and Otis then takes a bunch of people hostage, the warden's wife and like his friend and their wife and everything, and it's like, Warden, you're gonna go to work tomorrow and you're gonna free my sister baby. And then he goes by himself without Otis or Otis's half brother to the prison where baby is and where he works. And I'm like, is Otis actually brain dead? Because he can alert the cops at any moment now.
Yeah.
Like, why would Otis even take that chance to begin with?
Yeah, no kidding.
And then the writing is so bad that
That he actually does what
Otis
Otis
even
wants.
tells him, if I don't write you a note, baby might just kill you herself. And I'm like, okay, so not only is your wife and your friend's wife all gonna die if you apparently don't go with this plan, but if you go with it, you know that you will also die with all of them as well. And on top of that, baby is super dangerous by herself. So if she doesn't even listen to you, you could die anyway just for freeing her. So why in the hell would a sane person decide to go with Otis's plan and not call the cops?
Yeah, and also why wouldn't he like read the note if he like, when he gives him the note and like he leaves, why wouldn't he read the note before giving it to baby? Because obviously the note was basically telling her to like ambush them and fucking kill them and shit once she gets to the house.
I mean, probably. But my point is, as a sane person, though, in that situation, you would be like, holy shit, he's actually letting me go to work. Like, this is my chance to call the police.
Well, he
That's
was
what
like
a
the police
normal.
chief. It would be more like this is my chance to fucking gear up and like get all the police to fucking go to my house.
Well,
There's all
yeah,
the
you'd
loonies
still
right
call
there.
the police, but that's my point.
Yeah.
Like, do you realize if he calls the police, he has a chance to save himself. He has a chance to save his friends and his wife and his friend's wife. He has a chance. But if he goes with Otis's plan and doesn't call the police, doesn't alert anybody, he's basically just willingly letting all four of them die. Like himself and his wife and his friend's wife.
Yeah.
So again, that's basically another Black Butler season 2 moment where I was like, no fucking logic is there.
And also, they never showed him breaking Baby out because I think Rob Zombie knew that was going to be very hard to do without like 50 leaps in logic right there. He decided because remember it just showed her suit up in a cop outfit, and then and then it just shows them show up at the house. Like apparently no one in the fucking police office headquarters would notice Baby, the fucking lunatic that's infamous.
Just because she put on a uniform.
Yeah.
Whoa, you put on a uniform? You're completely
Who
unrecognizable.
are you? The one kazoo kid. Wait a minute. Who are you?
Also, the two security guards brought Baby to his office. One of them waited outside and then came in when she was free, and then Baby choked her out. And then you would think after the guy and Baby left and she was still in the office choked out, the other one that brought her in that she said, I'll call you when I'm ready to bring her back. You'd think eventually, pretty soon, like 10 minutes later or something, she'd probably come to be like, hey, we bringing her back yet? And then she would find her choked out on the floor.
Well, not only that, but like, I don't know. I don't know if Baby killed that girl or not. You know what? She probably
I mean, probably, but I don't know.
Never mind. Let's just go with she probably did. Yeah, let's just go with she did because, Rob Zombie or people that are fans of Three from Hell would probably be like, "Oh, she's dead." Duh.
Baby's a killer.
Because I was gonna make an argument that like I've already heard. I don't remember exactly where, but I know that when you choke someone out but don't kill them, they're not unconscious like in movie length. They are usually more unconscious than they would be in real life. Like I think it's only literally like 10. No, I don't even think it's that long. I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes like of them being out, and then they'll be back up and awake.
Yeah.
So she probably would have been awake before they even got to the house. So let's just go with she was dead because that makes a little more logic.
Yeah, but still, you'd think the other guard would only take maybe 10 minutes and then show up and be like, "Whoa, she's dead!" in his office, and Baby's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's true. She probably would be like, "What the frick?"
Basically, Three from Hell fucking sucks, and there's no logic in it. That's basically my summary of the movie.
Yeah, basically, and like, yeah, that and the biggest logical the biggest leap of logic in the movie. Let's just go over that to kind of summarize why we don't like this movie and think it's worse than the first movie. The biggest leap in logic is the fact that 3 psycho killers can take down a whole fucking cartel.
Oh yeah, also not to mention, Nick, because this small guy, this like dwarf, because Baby was nice to him and said, "You remind me of my brother, and my brother was beautiful." Because of that, he basically dies trying to help them.
Yeah, and that was very movie.
You don't even know these people, and you're willing to die for them?
Yeah, that felt very much like a movie. A movie moment.
I know. This movie felt so much like a movie that it fucking sucked.
This random person I literally don't know gave me something that was somewhat emotional to me. I'll fucking die for them now.
Whoa.
Even though I don't even know them.
Dude, he's literally a simp. Because she said, "You remind me of my brother. My brother was beautiful." So she said something about his looks to him, and he instantly was like, "Okay, I will simp for you."
Yeah.
I will literally die for you, my queen.
Yeah, and then he was the only one that died out of everyone, even though it's
Yeah.
the fucking cartel! Bruh!
Yeah, and the end was like actually terrible because here's the difference. Second movie, I was like, I can actually root like 3% for the psychos, 97% for the cop that wants revenge.
Yeah.
In this one, I rooted 100% for the mafia guy that I actually knew almost nothing about other than the fact that they killed his dad.
Yeah.
And it's not because I thought he was such a cool, interesting character. I thought he was actually kind of bland. Because they just kind of were like, his dad was killed by them, so he wants them dead. The end.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything really interesting about him. The only reason I 100% was hoping he would kill them is because I was like, this movie fucking sucks that bad that I want them to die.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see them finally die. And
you're like, I want to actually see something interesting. Please give me something that's at least something interesting.
Least if the main psychos were to have died by the mafia, then I'd be like, okay, that's at least interesting. They actually killed them off finally.
Yeah.
But they couldn't even do that. So then I'm just sitting there at the end of the movie like, okay, well, this was fucking terrible and a huge waste of my time.
Yeah,
I could have honestly just been good with the ending of Devil's Rejects and just been like, that's how they died.
Yeah, you're just sitting there like, okay, you fucking wasted my time. Fuck you.
Yeah, so this another reason it's a great Black Butler season 2 thing is because just like Black Butler season 2, I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist, and the way that season 1 ended is the definitive ending.
Yeah, aka the way the second movie ended.
Yeah.
Is how it ended.
The way that they died at the end of Devil's Rejects, that's the definitive ending. There is no third movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would actually legit, because I hate shit like this, I would give it a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how well I would give it. Like,
it doesn't.
I think I'd give it
1 point.
Man, I think I'd only give it 1. And the only reason it gets 1 point is because they actually had one of the funniest scenes in the series, even if the rest of the movie was like complete garbage, which is the scene with the half brother when he's talking about making a porno, and he's like talking about how it's like a sausage man, and like he goes around knocking on doors, and like the women are like, "Can I see your sausage?" Shit.
I mean,
like he was explaining this really funny. I thought it was really funny. It was like this really stupid, silly porno idea.
So anyway, I give it a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, and I give it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
So yeah,
podcast is over.
So yeah, people haven't heard of the third one, and now you know why. It's fucking terrible.
Don't watch it.
Yeah, like we wouldn't even recommend watching it. Like we wouldn't even say if you want to watch, like you genuinely want to watch the trilogy, don't watch the trilogy. Like if you genuinely want to watch the first movie, go ahead. If you genuinely want to watch the third movie because you're curious, don't. Literally don't. You will waste your time and you will regret ever watching it.
Alright, bro, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up, alright. Alright, let's wrap it up. But yeah, that is our thoughts on the Devil's Rejects trilogy. I don't know. I think that's what most people call it, probably because that's the most popular movie out of all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you enjoy hearing our thoughts, smash that sub button.
If you like what we did, please give us a like. If you really, really damn us to hell, give us a dislike.
And if you have thoughts about this trilogy or just anything of the above, leave them down in the comments below.
Yeah, give us your thoughts, bruh.
And with that being said, I bid you adieu.
Adieu.